Who first cracked the Enigma code? Yes.
Was it the Poles?
Top man! Absolutely right. You're a good soul. Yep. There's a general feeling that we did all the work, but in fact it was a Pole in 1932, as early as that, who first cracked how an Enigma machine worked. But in the late 1930s, the Germans changed the way they worked, so that I think there was something like 364 billion possible settings each day to the daily code. Now, that's not something you could guess. But the first one to crack it in the beginning to see how it worked was a young Polish mathematician called Marian Rejewski. And if you ever go to Bletchley Park, and I do urge you to do so, there is a splendid statue to him. And
have they got a good shop there? They
have a very nice shop. They also have a museum of computing, which I know would excite you almost.
Oh, indeed.
Indeed, I can...
Already moist.
I mean, it is well established. The work on Enigma did do a great deal to hasten the end of the war. Eisenhower estimated that it shortened the war by 2 years, which is hundreds of thousands of lives. So it was an extraordinarily important thing that these boffins got together. But how do you think they were first brought together at Bletchley Park? What was the first move the government made to assemble the boffins?
Singles club.
It was almost that. It was a telegraph crossword competition. Especially fiendish telegraph crossword. And the winners were sent letters saying, you might be our kind of chap. But anyway, they then soon became aware that having people who knew that cart horse was an anagram of orchestra was not going to win them the war. They needed really great mathematical minds.
It's when the world changed, isn't it?
It's when the world changed.
It'll be fascinating conundrums that the Nazis will set us.
But
we'll have to find clues and follow them. No, you just need a supercomputer.
But fortunately, there was a man ready for it. It just happened to be that history had thrown up a quite brilliant mathematician called Alan Turing, who was at Cambridge at the time. There he is. He's considered the father of computing, one of the truly great men of his time. And you may remember Gordon Brown making an impassioned but far too late apology on behalf of the British government for his terrible death. He was persecuted for his homosexuality and chemically castrated and then committed suicide by eating a poisoned apple. And there are many to this day who believe that Apple computers named their apple with the bite out of it in honour of Alan Turing, the father of computing. And I was in a position to ask one of the founders, Steve Jobs, and he said it isn't true, but God, we wish it were. It's just a coincidence, but they're very proud that people think it might be, because he was a simply extraordinary man. But the real fiendish thing was not Enigma, it was called Lorentz. And for Lorentz was used between German High Command and Hitler himself, basically. And Lorentz was unbelievably difficult. And for that, Turing and his team built what really was the world's first computer. It was called Colossus. And it was way ahead of its time. It was quite extraordinary.
It was all a complete sort of national secret until very recently, wasn't it? Or quite recently.
Absolutely. There is Bletchley Park. And it is open to the public. I'm a big advocate for it, so I make no apology for banging its drum. It's a great place.
It's an interesting choice that we took as a nation, though, you know, during the Second World War, which was an expensive experience for us and left us bankrupt. But out of it, we had basically invented the computer, and we decided to make it a secret.
Yes.
Rather than, in any sense, attempting to monetize it.
Actually, we gave the secret of Colossus to the CIA.
Oh, superb.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I know.
It was an excellent move.
It was.
No one will be needing that.
But there's a great memo, because there were a lot of people in the British government who thought, what are these people in faintly damp tweed with pipes and glasses doing, writing on bits of paper here? And there's quite a big budget. I mean, what are they doing? And Churchill had a look round, and the fellow explained to him what they were doing. And then there's a very famous memo in Churchill's hand that just says, give them what they want. It's fantastic, that, isn't it?
What can I just ask, and you may not be able to answer this, but what was the nature of the Enigma code? Was it mathematical or was
Yes. I mean, don't ask me to give you the precise details. I'm really no expert. But it was a purely physical, mechanical device, but it had so many different rotors that had so many different angles and positions that there were hundreds of billions of permutations. Our job was to intercept or work out what the code word of the day was, and then we could translate the messages. It was very old. But they were very lazy. It relied on Germans making mistakes by using the names of their dogs and things. So a lot of intelligence was gathered about the people in naval intelligence in particular, about what their dogs, their girlfriends, their addresses and things like that, because it's a bit like passwords, you know.
I'm beginning to think that people will be able to hack into my John Lewis account now.
Not named after your
That's
dog,
ironic.
surely.
They invented a computer and finished the war early, but the cyber war being waged by China will be the death of all of us.
Yeah, there is some... You know, the worry about it is, I mean, I was speaking to a man at Los Alamos, which is where they developed the nuclear bomb, and obviously the science now goes in other directions. They said they had something like 1 million attacks an hour on their sort of cyber front-end security. And I said, well, hackers? And they said, no, nations. Well, let's be honest, one nation. And I was interviewing him on camera, and I said, would it rhyme with Biner? And he said, it might well do. And I said, that's how many times they're battering on the doors of your security.
Well, they
said,
must
oh,
do,
yeah.
they've got thousands of computers.
Absolutely, they're just slave...
Trying to work
Yeah.
it out
I know.
24 hours a day.
And presumably we're attempting in our own befuddled way to do the same.
If we've got a ZX80 on it, 24.
Except when Wimbledon's on.
Yeah, we've got a crow that can get a tiny bucket out of a Perspex tube. Take that, China.
By some terrible, terrible concatenation of circumstances, both my co-pilot and I on this flight were suddenly taken ill. How would you land this plane?
Can't they just land themselves on an instruments landing?
Can't you...
I'd stop reading the Kindle on the steering wheel. And
That would be a wise start, yes.
Don't you radio... There's the co-pilot slumped, normally.
Yes.
In these situations.
Yeah, someone talks you in.
And somebody talks you in?
That's what happens in the movies, definitely, isn't
Yes.
it?
Like Robert Duvall probably would be good.
Yes.
That's who I'd ring.
Or Lloyd Bridges in the case of Airplane, the movie.
Perfect choice.
Yeah.
Yes.
presumably there are legal problems with someone talking you down, though, because you could then subsequently sue if it was interpreted by your relatives that you were given bad advice. So probably these days the air traffic controller would refuse to give advice and say, "I'm sorry, we're not covered for my saying something."
That's right. You'd have to sign a waiver and sort of text it to them, and then they would... insurance would cover you to be talked down.
It is a minefield. Extraordinarily and happily, it has never occurred in commercial airline travel history that someone has been, as it were, oh, gosh, can anyone fly this plane because the pilot and co-pilot are ill or dead. It's never actually happened, but it would be fraught with difficulty. They have tried various simulations. For example, those with American civil private pilot licenses in America who can fly light planes were invited onto simulators of big jets. Yeah. And one of them couldn't even operate the seat that moved him towards the control. Another one turned the radio off. Another one turned off the autopilot and instantly crashed the plane. So the fact is, it's incredibly difficult.
Stephen, am I allowed to say that in your uniform how incredibly unlike a pilot you look?
So what do I look like instead? Be brutal, be frank.
No, I think you'd be the chap who calls himself the bursar, who comes round, he's got a big leather wallet and takes money for duty-free.
Yeah, calls himself the
Yeah.
bursar.
Yes.
The bursar?
Yes, I think he does, yeah.
Or the purser?
The purser.
The bursar is like the one that does the money for a...
Public school.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
What a very...
Oh, okay.
What kind of planes are you flying on?
Yeah.
Yes, the bursar will be collecting money for the end of term jamboree.
Here on a Charterhouse Air.
Yeah.
The bursar with the trolley, and then with the drinks, the groundsman.
Anyway, the fact is it's fraught with difficulty. The first problem you would have is simply getting into the cockpit, because since 9/11, of course, cockpits are locked. And if the pilot and the co-pilot were truly too ill to be able to fly, they may well be too ill even to let you in to the cockpit. But
Do they have a secret knock? When they go and give them their lunch, though, surely they have to get in.
Yes.
So they must have a coded knock or something, like, it's me. I've got your lunch. Something like that. And they go, oh, must be the lunch.
It must be, it must be to do with the lunch. The lunch is. Now, why do I say lunch is?
Because there's more than one.
But why is there more? You are... You are accruing points at a fantastic rate.
God, I tell you what.
Yes, there are more than one. But why would there be more than one lunch? Why would
They have to eat different meals.
Yes, the pilot and the co-pilot must eat different meals.
Oh, in case one of them gets botulism.
Exactly, so that if one is by accident poisoned or whatever. And in the case of extra long-haul flights, there are 3 pilots, not 2.
So you can't get into the cockpit. It's very, very dangerous. Never been done.
Yeah,
So...
and if it was on autopilot, you'd be able, obviously, to fly level and it would continue. But once you got into the landing situation, yes, the kind of film scenario would take over, whereby you would be told how to operate the flaps and at what speed. But there are so many variables in terms of glide path and vertical and horizontal axes and so on. It really is extraordinarily difficult. There is an auto-land system.
There's no way of flying it remotely, then, from the ground? Like with just somebody with a Wii or something, you know? I don't know.
Maybe one day.
Someone comes in the room.
What? Why?
It's a horrifying thought, but fortunately, as I say, it never has yet happened in major commercial air travel. In the Isle of Man, they had corporal punishment until 1976. And what type of wood did they administer it with?
Well, I know I'm going to get a buzz on this because it's normally called birching, but it wasn't a birch.
It
doesn't matter because the
injustice is anyway.
So did it depend on how bad you'd been? So if you were really bad, it was holly, and they left the leaves on. But if you weren't so bad, it would be like sort of willow fronds, you know, or balsa wood for you. But
Hazel. Yeah, the hazel. In Britain, birching, as it was known, was banned in 1948, but they didn't stop it until the 1970s in the Isle of Man, even though they tried to keep it by saying, all right, well, OK, what about if we let them keep their trousers on?
In America, there is still the tradition in some parts of birthday spanking. So,
really?
Yeah, where you go to school and then because it's your special day, and then there's a special treatment, the teacher takes the pedal out and then you get a few, and some people say, oh, we have to ban it, it's cruel, and then others say, no, we can't, it's a tradition.
Yes.
So they have to carry on trashing the kids. Yes.
Weird.
It's a bit like family Christmas. No one likes it still, because it's a tradition, everyone has to go through it.
we get the idea of bringing a tree in to the...
That's your idea?
That's a German idea, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. Did we invent Christmas?
Well, a lot of elements of it. Obviously.
Now, I say, come on. Either we invented it or we didn't.
Yeah. It's like that terrible joke, which I'm sure you must have been told, about the couple who adopt a German baby. you know it, yes, you must know it.
Is there only one joke that involves a German baby?
It doesn't speak.
It doesn't speak
Another one where he doesn't speak.
He never speaks.
Yeah.
They have
Until he's about 5.
Yeah.
Five.
Want
And
me to say
they take
the
him to be
punchline?
tested.
Because they think, is he stupid? Is he deaf and dumb?
Everything functioning normally,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And then one day...
One day.
Go on, Alan.
One day.
They give him...
Yeah, then he goes...
He has some
"Matze,
apple strudel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says...
Matze, this Apfelstrudel is a bit tepid.
And they say, Wolfgang, you've never spoken before. After all these years, now you finally speak. Why haven't you spoken before? And he says...
Up until now, everything had been satisfactory.
It's a great joke. Very
Do you know,
That's like a relay joke.
this is the most fun a Danish person has had with a German since 1940. Don't mention the war!
Well, there
It's funny, the war. I mean, I have to chip in now. I mean, the war. The war is always World War II.
Yeah.
It's never any of the more current ones.
No, that's true.
They go with the war, and everyone in Britain takes personal credit for Britain winning it. Even people that weren't born at the time of World War II, they still take personal credit for Britain winning it. I've personally been a lot more annoyed by the Brits that are now in their 70s, and they bang on about how they helped win the war. I mean, let's quickly do the maths. If you're in your 70s now, how old were you at the end of World War II?
That's true.
Maybe 10 years old? Yeah. How did you help win the war? When you were just 10 years old, you did not help win the war.
By not eating bananas.
Yeah. You were nothing but a drain on British resources.
You've got to admire his guts, haven't you?
Effectively, every 70-year-old Brit effectively fought on the side of Nazi Germany. much as we did.
What's the French for innuendo?
Is it double entendre? No, I've just remembered that double entendre is French for big tits, isn't it?
No, double entendre means nothing to a Frenchman. You could say double entente. Entente is like a...
Two-man tent.
No. Or double sens, double sense, but they don't say double entendre.
So it's a French phrase that the French don't use. So
Yes.
it's not French.
Exactly. And that's precisely what this round of questions is about. There are other examples of that. Suppose you're at a performance, someone is very brilliant, and you want them to perform again.
Encore.
You'd shout encore. What would they shout in France?
More.
Good thought. But encore is a French word meaning more, but they don't shout encore when they want. They shout a Latin word, which means twice.
Anyone?
Anyone in the audience? Bis, bis, B-I-S.
Beef. Beef.
Bis, bis, yeah, that's what they shout.
That's
Let's
crap.
try encore.
You'd hate to do a show, wouldn't you? And at the end, everyone goes, beef! It's like that.
Well, there are other phrases which we use, which sound French, but again mean nothing to a Frenchman. Cause célèbre is not a French phrase. Like ensuite for a bathroom, the French wouldn't, they go, what?
Yeah. What about bidet?
Bidet they do indeed have, though it's easier really to do a handstand in the shower, to be honest. And if you want the expense of a bidet, yes.
Easier.
If you're as nimble as I am, yeah.
I'd pay good money to see that. I'd like to see you doing that with a camera going, tweet this.
The trouble is with the handstand in the shower, though. It's like, you know when you see a mountain stream and you think the water looks all right, but I don't know where it's been further on. When you're upside down and this water is pouring across your face, lodging in your nostrils, and you know that it's been...
Oh, that's a worry.
That's what puts... I had a friend who, he had read somewhere that if you slept upside down, it made you more intelligent because the blood went to your brain.
Yeah.
And I became obsessed with the idea that he would have a wet dream and die.
Oh, that's so, in so many ways, a horrific image. So, yes, there are words we use. Décolletage, for example, we use for that. The French has used décolleté for that, not décolletage.
Excuse me, when you say we, you mean you?
Well, it's not a common phrase, but
No, it's not. No, one's ever said, look at the décolletage on that.
Could you put...
You never stop learning. I've already learned how to say to my teenage sons, look at the knockers on that, without the mum getting annoyed.
And now you can say décolletage.
Décolletage, look
I
at
thought
that.
it too. Also, ensuite, which is used commonly these days for a bathroom that's connected to a bedroom. In France, they don't use the phrase
And, of course,
ensuite.
the ensuite.
Exactly. The French do not.
Commonly used.
There's a Greek phrase. The Greeks say katatraia staeftika, I think it is. And it means who gives a shit. But literally it means there is trouble in the gypsy village.
It's true. And depending on where you are on the social calendar, it's right, isn't it? It's, you know, posh people wouldn't give a shit if they...
Anyway, that's the point. You can ask a Frenchman for a double entendre if you like, but you'll be lucky if he gives you one. Now to some... Thank you very much. When is the present?
Oh, I'm not going to fall into that trap. Who's going to say it?
Well, it's not really a trap. It is a genuinely interesting question. I mean, there are different ways of trying to describe what the present might be, but let's talk about the present in terms of archaeology. Archaeologists actually have an acronym, BP, which means before present, and they can date the present. It's an exact date, January the 1st, 1950.
That's the present.
That, for archaeologists, and there's a very good reason for this, and you might be able to work it out. If you
born in the
did,
fu-
I'd be very impressed.
Is it plastics?
Not quite that.
Bakelite?
When archaeologists... No, archaeologists are interested in the distant past. And recently, in the last 100 or so years, certain techniques have enabled us to discover... I say us, I mean...
Carbon dating.
Carbon dating has allowed us to discover how old things are. Now, in the 1950s... Basically, they decided by January the 1st, 1950, we had so screwed up the atmosphere with nuclear testing that no carbon dating could be trusted after January the 1st, 1950. So that is known as the present.
See, these archaeologists need to learn a bit of physics, though. According to Einstein's theory of space and time, which is our best theory of space and time, there's no such thing as a present moment which spans the universe, or indeed even the Earth, or in fact even two people moving relative to each other.
It is absurd to think of an event that might be happening now in a galaxy and me doing this as being simultaneous. That has no meaning cosmically, does it?
Because you can swap the order of them as long as they're not causally connected. I mean, we don't know how time works at a very fundamental level, actually.
But time's arrow. I mean, I actually got my head around that a bit.
Yeah.
Because you don't need maths. If you think that everything's going forward and as it does, it decays.
Yes.
So then you understand entropy.
Yes.
I just look, for instance, all you need is an analogy to make that's pertinent to you. So in my case, all relationships. And then you realise, of course, you've got that perfect 18 months, and then they're dead.
The second law of sexual dynamics.
Yes, that's how I, according to me, that's how I extrapolate.
To make it statistically significant, though, you have to have an awful lot of relationships.
Oh, I do. And they really do also the law of entropy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at our first destination, which is India. And what I want to know is which of these two gentlemen is going to make the better policeman?
Well, one of them's noticed the camera and is presumably about to arrest the photographer, and that seems to be what policemen do nowadays, so I'll go with that one.
Interesting.
I'll say the
And
one...
he's got a biro.
Yeah, the one with the pen. Writing notes down. And also the other one seems to be more concerned with how he's looking. He's smiling, chatting away. The other one's a bit more sober, more professional.
I think it's the guy in white behind them. He's plain clothes. He's mingling in, he's mingling.
You've missed the one detail that the state of Madhya Pradesh will actually pay policemen an extra 30 rupees a month to grow a moustache.
Really?
They consider the policemen are better. They're better in all kinds of ways. They're less intimidating, they work better with the community, they're more respected by the public. Yes, they're extraordinary.
It's race never ceases to disappoint.
Well, it's not unique to India. British had pretty weird ideas about moustaches. In India, they're considered a sign of virility, but at the moment there's a north-south divide. In the north of India, it's rarer to have moustaches because in Bollywood and the cricket team, of course, the great heroes, tend not to have moustaches. But in the south, in Tamil cinema, they all have moustaches. Everybody has a moustache. And that is just considered absolutely...
It's Steve Wright in the afternoon, isn't it? I've never trusted a moustache. I'm pretty the other way.
That's very interesting, because in the British Army, in 1860 onwards, it was a regulation that every soldier had to have a moustache. You could be imprisoned for shaving your upper lip. Right up until the First World War, then you had the option of being able to shave off your moustache. So it's not unique to India.
Why did they suddenly, in the First World War, suddenly we're fighting total war, the moustache, that was clearly ridiculous, the moustache. So surely they'd think, if we need moustaches, we need them more than ever now. I think it should be beards.
There, they give you a certain, don't they? I think so. But this, yes, sort of that moustache is going to win. Thank you. It's going to win a war, isn't it? But as you can see there, that's British soldiers, typical British soldiers, all of them moustache.
I'm just imagining, Stephen, that moustache is going to have its own website by the end of the...
How long do you imagine the longest moustache in the world might be?
24 feet.
Well, that's a little bit too much, actually.
OK.
It's
12.
It's 14 feet.
14 feet.
There it is. It's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Wow.
I mean, this man makes a living out of it. He was in the film Octopussy, oddly enough. I can't remember what he did with his moustache, but it is... it's pretty impressive.
Do you distrust him?
Deeply. Very... He turned up to do a bit of woodwork in the house, you know. And he just did... Well, I measure 14 feet. Well, I must be... I'd naturally feel...
You wouldn't want to stand at a urinal, would you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Trailing around on the floor. He's ringing him out. That's what he's doing now.
You might like to see a picture of some interesting moustaches there. And I have what you might call moustachabilia. These are real things used for people with moustaches that were used in the Great Moustache Growing period. This is simply to drink. It's a little silver, rather beautifully made thing you put in a cup so that you can sip through here without, without staining your moustache.
Keeps your moustache
Yeah, keeps your moustache nice and dry. Similarly with soup, you would want a soup spoon. You would just sip through that part there.
Oh.
So you take your soup like so, and you just... like that. And again, I keep my moustache nice and dry.
Nice and dry.
What else have I got here? And this, you may remember that
I haven't invented the straw.
Albert Finney. Albert Finney had something like this, didn't he, in Murder on the Orient Express? This is at night when you wish to keep your moustache, and you put this round your ears, like there and there.
What's that for, though? I mean, what... you say you want to keep your moustache. Keep your moustache from what?
Escaping.
Wild creatures of the night, I don't know. People who might come and nibble at it in the evenings.
There's a slight air of gimp about it.
There is something a little unusual, isn't there?
The odd thing is that people who are using that spoon and that drink cover, they're people who don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look like a complete arse.
An idiot.
So excuse me while I get out all my paraphernalia for keeping soup off my moustache.
It is true. What you're saying is entirely true. Now, here's one of the oddest things about Iceland is... Well, I'll show you. Have a look at this. These are Icelandic. What do you reckon they are?
Legs.
Yes. If I were to tell you that those are empty, does that help?
Hollow leg.
Yeah.
Oh, they're Icelandic cock pants. Is it because, like, when you go out on the beach, everything shrinks? So you basically just put them on, and then it gives you a little bit of... profile.
Are they a pair of trousers, a pair of ski pants?
They are a pair of trousers made of human skin.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh. They are on display at the Icelandic Museum of Witchcraft, which is an extraordinary place because Icelandic witchcraft is pretty odd. And what happens is you ask a friend, right, that when he dies, can you have his skin?
Can I have your legs?
And if he gives you permission, you then flay the skin below the waist, all of it completely in one piece, right? And you wear them as sort of tights, right? It gets weirder. You then have to steal from a widow a coin. And you put the coin inside the scrotal area, the sac there, which you see the whole thing is more or less complete.
If it's a blow.
With a written incantation. And then...
You open a bank.
And that's how the Icelandic economy works. Yes. Well, then apparently, well, they sort of do, because then the scrotum apparently fills with money. So that's the incantation. They're sort of necropants. There is an official word for them.
Necropants.
Yeah, dead pants, yeah.
That's the sort of thing you see advertised at 3 o'clock in the morning. Eurosport. Do you want necropants?
The Icelandic name is Nabrok. Now, I've got a little task for you to do, a little Christmas party game. I've got these phone books here, and what's happened is they've been interleaved. That's all it is. There's no glue or anything. They've literally, like a pack of cards, one page inside another. So it's two...
It must have taken ages.
So it did. Our props people are very proud of their work. There you are.
We'll share.
All I want you to do, you've got ropes there, is just pull them apart. So you can take one each.
Can't be done.
Go on, pull them apart.
It can't be done.
Go on. There you go. Try. You can't,
It
can
can't
you?
be done.
You
on,
literally can't. It's quite extraordinary. Strong as Brian is...
Go on, try and pull, Brian, pull.
All it is... water wasn't spilt. That's magical.
Yes, it's an old trick. Me and Brian have been doing this trick for years.
But that is, I think, proof
I'm trying to
positive.
sit on the top of my tripped-up chair.
A man as strong as Brian, he may be able to pull Sean off his chair, but it can't be done. In fact, you need £8,000 of force in order to do it.
Really?
It really is quite bizarre. It's friction. And it's just replicated each time. I know, it is. It's so sad.
This
If
time
you
it's...
loosen them...
This time it's me. This time it's personal.
Having a tantrum.
Still can't do it.
What does Sigmund Freud, Mark Twain, Henry James, a loony from Newcastle, and the Holy Ghost have in common?
Well, Mark Twain, I know had a link, but I don't know about the others. He was sceptical about Shakespeare because he thought that Toff wrote it. He didn't believe that a normal boy from Stratford could write.
Right.
Could write
he
properly.
was what you might call exactly a Shakespearean skeptic, as were the others. That's to say, Sigmund Freud also believed that, and Henry James, and the Professor Looney, that was unfortunately his name, though I believe it was pronounced Loney, from Newcastle, who wrote a book in 1920 called Shakespeare Identified. There was this whole movement, started in the 19th century, really, with the idea that it might have been Francis Bacon who wrote the works of Shakespeare. There was particularly a woman called Delia Bacon, who was an American and was completely insane, really. She came over to England and wrote a 625-page book.
God.
In which she didn't even mention the name Bacon. And then when she died, she claimed she was the Holy Spirit.
She claimed she was the Holy
Yes.
Spirit?
So the Holy Spirit, if she was right, also doesn't believe Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare. So if Bacon was one candidate, there are two other main candidates.
Oh, hang on. What was it?
Marlowe.
Christopher Marlowe.
Christopher Marlowe is one candidate. But the most popular
Earl of
one...
Oxford?
The Earl of Oxford is, yes, indeed, Edward de Vere.
Is that Edward de Vere?
That's Edward de Vere.
Wow, there's a lot going on there, isn't there?
There is, isn't there?
How does he keep that hat on?
It's sort of Kate Blanchett with a moustache.
But, you know, there are serious people. I mean, Freud liked the fact that he lost his father early on, like Hamlet, because, of course, he had an Oedipus complex theory about Hamlet, Freud, so he liked that idea. Who else? Looney invented a rather fanciful scenario because the Earl of Oxford died in 1604, and Shakespeare carried on writing plays many years after that. So
that might almost be the point at which to abandon the theory.
Yeah, you'd think. Instead of which he claimed that before dying he'd left a whole sheaf of plays and that his servant, Shakespeare, then just produced them one after the other.
Isn't the Tempest written sort of 4 or 5 years after he died? 6 years, maybe, even after he died, referencing sort of stuff of the time. So after De Vere's dead.
Yes, quite.
He probably just left insert topical gag here.
Yeah, that's right. But there are Mark Rylance and Derek Jacobi, both supreme actors, and they both believe that it was the Earl of Oxford. There isn't a shred of evidence, as far as I can see.
It sort of doesn't matter. On the basis that what Shakespeare means to people is the guy that wrote those plays. And so if the guy that wrote those plays is a different guy that wrote those plays, that's still what a great guy.
Yes.
It's not an earth-shattering conspiracy, really, is it? That
No.
perhaps it isn't him?
Over 5,000 books on the subject, incredibly. Yeah, I know, it's extraordinary.
But yet no scrap of evidence.
Not real evidence, to be honest. No, it's just speculation. And the odd thing is, they often say, well, we know so little about Shakespeare. There are very, very few people of the Elizabethan era about whom we know more. I mean, Ben Jonson, for example, who was a very famous playwright. We don't even know where Ben Jonson was born or how many children he had.
If other people were writing the plays, why didn't they say so at the time?
Well, quite. I mean,
that's the bit I don't understand. It always seems like he didn't write all that. Well, wouldn't it have come out if other people had...
Yeah, but if it was Ben Jonson or any of those others, jolly good luck to them, I say.
Was it just because he wasn't posh? Does it just come down to
It's
basic
kind of
class
snobbery.
system?
They think, well, he was just this kid from Warwickshire and he was a woodlander, and, you know, but in fact, his father was a glover, which is a perfectly decent trade, as you say, and he went to the grammar school there almost certainly. And
He's sort of, you'd think, exactly as far up the society as you'd expect a major writer to be.
Yes.
Not, you know, it's not like now the best novels are written by the Duke of Westminster.
No. Now, his vocabulary. How many words do you think he used? I'm not counting repeats. He used a lot, obviously.
Yeah. Dagger, murder.
This could take us a long time, yes.
Well, we've got to start somewhere.
You've got to start somewhere, you're right.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
5,000.
Yeah. They're 20,000 words. 20,000 words. And how does that compare to the average vocabulary of a Briton, would we say, roughly? That we
4 times as much.
No, half as much. Half as much.
Less.
Surprisingly, yes. I mean, we're not saying that Shakespeare used every word he knew in his books. I'm sure he left lots out. I don't remember the word clitoris.
He didn't use hard drive.
I think it's in the second folio.
Oh, it might be. So it's about half that of the average modern English person's vocabulary, because obviously he didn't have certain words to call on, like, you know, texting or vajazzle or whatever. But on the other hand, he did have, you know, guerdon and bodkin and fardel, which we don't use so much.
Yoghurt.
Yoghurt. I don't suppose Shakespeare knew what yoghurt was.
Broadband.
Broadband. There are a lot of words. In The Sun, David Crystal, who's a well-known linguistic fellow, and he estimated there would be about 6,000 words in any complete issue of The Sun, whereas the King James Bible has just 8,000. So this idea that we're all dumbed down to a lower vocabulary is not necessarily true. What did cricketer Thomas White invent in 1771?
The Yorker.
The Yorker?
Yeah.
To hear a German say the Yorker...
I don't know what it means.
It's a fully pitched up ball, but it's well good. Great to hear a German.
What's googly then?
Yeah. Googly is
again.
Googly is a leg spinner's offspin. It's disguised. It's
comes at the back. And how does the Duckworth-Lewis method work?
Oh, nobody knows that. That's far too complicated. No, he didn't invent any particular type of bowling or of batting, but he looked at the laws of cricket and he noted that there was a rather glaring omission, and he thought he thought, splendid.
Oh, with a big bat. Did he have a big bat?
Yes, he came with a bat that was wider than the wicket. This enormous bat. It was Chertsey versus Hambledon, which is the equivalent of Surrey versus Hampshire. So after 1774, they incorporated a law that said a bat must be no wider than 4.5 inches. But this fellow, Thomas White, I suppose you could call him a cheat, but he was within the laws of the game as they were at the time. And there were others. There's an American footballer called Lester Hayes. Does that ring any bells with you? Of the Oakland Raiders, who had such success as a catcher in the late 70s that he was the Defensive Player of the Year. But the reason was that he covered his hands and gloves with an adhesive called Stickum. And he actually admitted, he said, without Stickum, I couldn't catch a cold in Antarctica.
But that's so clearly cheating. They must have spotted that.
There was no rule against
There was no rule.
They had to introduce one, which there now is. There was a jockey at Belmont in New York who, in 1923, died of a heart attack when on a horse and won. The horse won.
Oh, right.
And, of course, the bookies didn't want to pay out. But there was a rule that said the jockey had to be in the saddle for it to... There was no rule that said he had to be alive.
Well, he was a brilliant jockey, then, if he clung on even though he was dead.
Exactly. Pretty amazing.
Keep going!
So the lucky punters were paid out. Who had to return to their birthplace for the census?
This is going to be one of those things where we say Joseph and Mary, and it isn't Joseph and Mary because that isn't what you do. It isn't that at all, because that we don't...
Woods. Is it? It's not clever. Always be one step behind. The story is given in one of the Gospels, Luke, where it says that Caesar Augustus, if you remember, in those days issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. And we know this is just simply poppycock.
The dates are all over the place.
And, you know, there was never a census of the entire Roman world. And there is also absolutely no truth in the fact that you had to return to the place of your birth in order to complete a census, if there were a census. There is only one reason why Luke would want you to think that Mary and Joseph went to Bethlehem to give birth.
To fulfil the prophecy.
To fulfil the prophecy is the point. Is that in the Old Testament it says the Messiah will be born from the stem of Jesse. And that means... what is the stem of Jesse? Do you know what...
There's so many answers, I don't even know where to begin. What time is this broadcast?
King David, in the Bible, was David, son of Jesse. And in the various prophecies, they say the Messiah will be born in Bethlehem from the stem of Jesse. I from the family.
But it's all about Joseph, and Mary supposedly is a virgin. So the stem of Jesse's got nothing to do with it.
I know the whole thing doesn't make sense.
What?
Which is obviously not.
I know, don't let me for a minute. I spent a lot of time on this as a kid, and don't tell me now. Don't let the scales fall from my eyes now.
It doesn't make any sense anyway. If you were going to count people, I mean, say we had the census here, I'd have to go back to Copenhagen. That would just be ridiculous.
Exactly, that's the point. He's only put in there in order to get him to be born in Bethlehem. And Luke is the one of all the gospel writers who's most determined to fit in all the prophecies.
And it wasn't laterally, and like a kind of a Bethlehem tourist board type thing where they said, is there any chance you could place this story here? we got the guys with the relics ready to go. The minute you shift it to us, like we can. Like Santa Claus Lapland versus Santa Claus North Pole.
Yes.
Right? This is probably exactly an excellent parallel to draw between the two things. But Lapland have just decided that's where Santa lives.
And, of course, the real St. Nicholas came from Turkey.
Of course.
And
lived in the North Pole.
The things we've really been cheated on are the really interesting books that should have been in the Bible. As you probably know, the Bible was assembled over a long period of time, well after the birth of Christ.
Well, it's about 300 years later they got together.
There were the constant conferences going on, deciding on which bits of scripture they should include in an official Bible. And there are some absolutely wonderful ones about the infancy of Christ, which I would like to share with you. And wouldn't this make you more interested in Jesus? This is one here. They're the infancy Gospels, which were rejected from the final cut of the Bible.
Is this like an Easter egg, ironically, on a DVD?
Mary dismounted from her beast and sat down with the child Jesus in her bosom. And there were with Joseph 3 boys, and Mary a girl going on the journey along with them. And lo, suddenly there came forth from the cave many dragons. And when the children saw them, they cried out in great terror. Then Jesus went down from the bosom of his mother and stood on his feet before the dragons, and they adored Jesus and thereafter retired.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Isn't that great? No, wouldn't you have paid more attention in Sunday school if there had been more of those?
And you're reading that to us in your Harry Potter voice as well.
I'm sorry, that goes with the territory.
The Bible meets Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That is typical. Oh, that lizard. Oh, that's a dragon.